Welcome back to part 2 of the volume notes here. At the end of this, you should be able to say I can find the volume of various solids. So first half we talked about finding the area of solids with uniform cross sections. Now we're going to look at something a little different. These are called tapered solids. Okay, a tapered solid has cross sections that have similar shape, but the shapes get smaller and smaller as we get closer and closer to what we call the apex of the solid, which so they'll all come up to some kind of point. Okay, volume of a tapered solid is going to be, it's actually pretty similar. It's going to be just a third the area of the base times the height. Whereas without the tapered solid, it's just the area of the base times the height. Now it's just going to be a third of that. Okay. The volume of a sphere is simply 4/3 pi r cubed, where we've got the radius there. Okay. So let's take a look at a couple examples here, and that'll really be all there is to this. So example 7, find the volume of each solid. So we've got that this here is 8 centimeters across, and this is 13 centimeters on this slant height, we call it. So if you'll remember, volume of that volume is going to be 1/3 the base times the height. Now, we got to figure out the area of the base. That we can do. Well, we can do all this stuff, but we know the base is going to be, it's just the area of that circle, right? So it's pi times the radius. If the whole thing across is 8, the radius is 4 squared times the height. Now, problem is, this right here is our height. And we have this here, and we know that that makes a right angle. So, what we want to do is say, okay, look, we got this triangle here, and it's a right triangle. We know that this is going to have to be 4, this is 13, and this is h. So let's do this. We've got 4 squared plus h squared has to equal 13 squared. So we got 16 plus h squared is 169, subtract 16, and we get that the height squared has to be 153, right? So we square root both sides, and we get that the height of this thing is going to have to equal whatever the square root of 153 is. Okay, and that gives us 12.4 is going to be the height. So times 12.4 for our volume, right? So we already have the 12.4 in there, so let's just leave that, and then we'll just multiply it by 1 divided by 3, and then multiply it by pi, and then multiply it by 4 squared. Okay, and that gives us a grand total of 207.2. Okay, so when we plug this all into our calculator, 1/3 pi times 4 squared times 12.4. Officially, you don't have to put the 4 in parentheses here, but we did it anyway just to make it look just like that. Push enter, and we get our 207.8. So volume equals 207.8, and this is centimeters, so centimeters cubed on that, since we're talking about volume. Okay, and then on B here, we just want to use our volume formula for a sphere here. So we get volume equals 4/3 pi r cubed. Okay, so basically what we need to know is we need to know what the radius is. They give us that the circumference is 27, so we got to figure out what the radius is from that. So we use our little circumference formula. Circumference equals 2 pi r. We know circumference is 27 equals 2 pi r. So now we're going to just divide both sides by 2 and pi. Now, when you're doing this on your calculator here, it's fairly important, actually no, it's really important that you make sure that you divide by both 2 and pi, because I see this happen all the time. 27 divided by 2 and then pi. If you do this, the calculator is going to take 27 divided by 2, and then it's going to multiply that answer by pi, so you're not going to end up dividing by pi, you're going to end up multiplying by pi. So we don't want to do that. You'd want to either do that, put that in parentheses, or the easier way is to use the fraction button. we do 27 over 2 pi, and that will give us what our radius is, 4.297. So let's just call it 4.30, right? So our volume is going to be 4/3 pi times 4.3 cubed. Okay, so when we put that into our calculator, we already have that answer there, so I'm going to see if this will work. 4/3, and then we got pi, and then we're going to take this answer. So I'm going to put parentheses and do second answer, and it will have our non-rounded answer, which is going to give us a more accurate answer. And then we're going to take that to the third power, and that gives us 332.4, we'll call it. 332.4, and that's going to be meters cubed. Okay? Okay, that's all we have for the second part of the volume video here. If you have any further questions on any of this, please feel free to ask in class. Thanks.